is not my own. Your presence is all I seek, asking help from your Lord to come deliver me. You promised your provisions and to take care of my needs. I'm leaning on your Lord. You're strong when I am weak. Praise all your love. Oh, fulfill my needs. This battle is yours. I remain in peace. I will move a mountain. Yeah, I will move a mountain. Glory to you as you helped me, for I see no way through. Traps all laid before me. Oh Lord, I'm counting on you. Praise all your love. Oh, fulfill my needs. This battle is yours. I remain in peace. I will move a mountain. Yeah, I will move a mountain. He'll stretch out his right hand, speak the power inside of you. The battles with his plans to show himself, you're the only true. Praise all your love. Oh, fulfill my needs. This battle is yours. I remain in peace. I will move a mountain. Yeah, I will praise all your love. Oh, fulfill my needs. This battle is yours. I remain in peace. I will move a mountain. Yeah, I will move a mountain.
Hey, so here we are, and we're in the dog park. There's Sabrina and our dog Mona amongst the others. This is our new jam. We come to the dog park every day. I did my sprinter yesterday with my weight vest on, and I don't know what it was, but I do know what it was. It was, you ever run in the snow and you notice how your foot gets stuck in there and your ankles twist kind of, and it's like the run just seems to be like 20% harder at the end? Well, it was that phenomenon when I tried to get out of bed this morning to go to the restroom. And I don't know, I was just jamming out, running, to and fro, up and down. And obviously I put the vest on, so I got extra weight. But I got up this morning and I was like, what are you doing, Matthew? I'm like, are you 65 or are you 40? I mean, you gotta be kidding me. So anyway, I had to deal with that. I have to overcome this body. That's what you have to do too. So this is what I made this meditation for. And whether or not this meditation will reach you in that space, it's kind of really up to you, because the ideas will guide you there. But you're gonna have to take the initiative to do the real work of centering yourself in the still space of the now. And then see, it's like you have to center into that pause before the spark comes back out. You see these electrical cones that come out? See, they radiate out. Well, there's always a point when it just stops and then comes back. See what I'm saying? Like if you shoot up in the air, it stops and then comes back. There's that still stop for that pause. That's the now space. That is the vortex of creation. That's where the power comes from. So you have to get into that spot and then drop the intention in that stillness. And then what happens is there's no interference patterns. And so you get the direct communion with the Father in that space, and therefore you get the direct receiving. You receive the inheritance in that moment. This is the moment when you receive the inheritance, okay? Let's just play with it right now. You know, maybe the meditation that I'll do with you right now will be another way to look at this. So you got to forgive me for some of the crazy things I do. I mean, I tell you that I'm Cherokee Santana. You know, here's the deal. You got to make it playful. You have to have fun. This is like a game that I'm playing with life itself, because we're designed here to experience God's treasures, all right? We're in His kingdom. Now, the thing you're doing that needs to be stopped doing is identifying with this body and with all of the accoutrement of the material five senses. In other words, you know, maybe you're doing really well. Maybe you got so much going for you. That's a problem, because you think that it defines you, and then you get attached to it and it strips power from you. I mean, imagine this. Imagine you had, like, I don't know, $10 million sitting, you know, somewhere, and you were like, you know what, I am the richest person. I don't want to die. I don't want to let this go. You know, maybe that's you, right? Maybe you got this perfect body, and you can, man, you're at your peak. You know, you're hitting all-time PRs in the weight room, or maybe, you know, you just got the affection of, you know, someone that really just does it for you, and you just started this new beginning, and it's so delicious. Or hold on, maybe it's those little ones. You just love them so much. I love these children. I can't leave them behind, right? Well, here's the idea. The counterfeit version of the real, okay, is the material realm of superstition. Okay, the moving time and space illusion of the five senses. It's a dream, it's a dance, it's spirit curving back within itself, reflecting to itself. It's all energetic, frequency, vibration, magnetism. These are just foundational building blocks, if you will. It's like the Lego house. It's the building block foundation, and you have all these forces that are unchangeable. But what it is you're riding the wave, okay? See, what happens is the still point. Remember that stop? What happens is two forces pop out of that immediately. You have two zeros, okay? Out of it come these spiraling cones, and they are equal and opposite balancing forces. This is the work of Dr. Walter Russell, okay? And this is beyond what Einstein discovered, okay? But I'm going to talk about Einstein. You got to learn this stuff if you want to see it conceptually, okay? So all these spiraling forces are coming out, right? This balancing, it's balancing, seeking rest, all right? You're riding the wave of it, and you're doing it fractaling many different dimensions, infinite dimensions, all at the same time. You have short wave cycles and long wave cycles. For instance, you may have had a dream last week or last night, doesn't matter, last month, last year. Remember a dream you had, okay? Now, suddenly when you woke up in the morning, right? Well, did you mourn the loss of all of the characters in that dream? Did you mourn? Did you fear coming out of that dream? Were you afraid you were going to lose it all if you lost that dream? Well, not really, because, well, it was just a dream. Well, it's just a shortwave cycle is all it is. But now go back and revisit it. Where is it? It's in your memory, right? Memory comes from the word memoir or memorial, which is a memorial service. What's that? It's a death. It's a funeral. You're leaving the stillness and you're spiraling. You're riding the beam of light. Like Einstein said, you're riding a beam of light in your consciousness. The machine's becoming aware of itself. That's what it is. You're transferring, okay? Transferring out of the ether, all right? And you're coming into form, shape. It's all idea. It's thoughts that are currents, okay? Currency flowing into ideas, receptacles that your five senses are attaching to. Spiritual five senses in the imagination, and physical in the slow, dense version, right? The reason why this one is so challenging for you is because material reality is a slow, dense, long wave form, right? 80, 90, 100 years, whatever, right? Once you hit the 40, 50s, it's just coming back. See, it's a slow one, but the dream you had last night was a fast-moving one because you have thousands and thousands and thousands of them in this lifetime, or so you think. Well, what about the waveforms that are happening outside of awareness? What about the fractaling waveforms that are coming in everything from the financial markets to history to all of the repeat patterns and cycles that happen throughout time and space? Okay? What about all that? Because you exist in all time and space, because the hologram means that every part has to contain the whole, which means that you exist in all things. And so if you exist in all things, then you can never become no thing, because you exist in all things. And if you exist in all things, then you are the allness of spirit, and spirit is the allness of all that is. There is no other. That's who you are. You are presence itself. You are awareness. You have to collapse all of these spiraling vortexes, these forces balancing each other that you're riding the dream of. If you don't like the dream, you have to collapse it, right? Because what it is, it's radiation, okay? It spirals out as radiation, okay? Well, what happens is that force, like Newton's apple dropping, like forces seeking like, what you want to do if you don't like this dream is you have to dispel the radiation with what you call gravity. It's actually a centripetal, okay? Centripetal force. It's now. Just break it down to the simple terms. It's this moment. No time. No time. Complete concentration. You need to have concentration. The only reason men fail is broken focus, period. You need to have utter and complete concentration. Put all of your focus on this moment. 100% of you goes into this moment. Focus, focus, focus. You know, one time I had a car accident episode. I want to tell you about it because you may have had a similar episode. So I'm going at 55 miles an hour, okay? All of a sudden it's cloudy. I couldn't see. There was dust. And then out of that dust, the dog's coming over to say hi to me. Hey, buddy. How you doing? Sometimes I got to say hi to these dogs. So out of that dust, I noticed it was getting heavier and heavier. And here's the deal. It just kind of all of a sudden became so dense I couldn't see anything. And I'm going 55 miles an hour on the highway. Then at the last second, I see the back of the truck emerging like, holy. And in that moment, I said, God, no. And I saw time stop. And what happened was, it was like in the movies where you see all this slow moving. And I saw the car just, and it wrapped all around me. And see, what happens was, I was in this dream. I was riding the spiraling vortex of this dream, okay? And you know, it was going fine until it wasn't. And as soon as I saw the end, I said, God, no. And that scare brought me into the present moment. And what it is that's an electrostatic charge. That's a lightning surge, okay? Now, you know, lightning is not electricity. It's dielectric. It's electrostatic. It's the now. It's the, okay, now is not even a good enough word for it. What it is it's a zero time. It's you can't even describe it. It's like premonition. It already happened. It's so fast that because it already happened, it just pops the thing that never happened. That's what it is. Okay, because you have a dream. The dream is the riding that spiraling balancing forces through that illusion, that time-space illusion, whether you're sleeping at night, you know, and all of a sudden you wake up, oh my gosh, it was just a dream, or you're going in this slow, dense, long cycle where you're riding the wave of being a physical and immortal meat sack body, right? The secret is not to identify with the body. You're not a body. You're not a physical body. Because you can't identify solely on one temporal thing if that which you are is immutable, eternal, unchanging. See, which one are you? That's the whole thing. That's the whole book of Romans. And so what it is remember I asked you, it's your children that you love so much, it's your finances. You got maybe $10 million or $100 million or $1 billion. Wow, you got all this wealth in this world, right? Your perfect body, you can do all these great things, or your lover that you've dreamed of your whole entire existence is now yours. You got all this going for you. Well, nobody wants to leave that behind, so you become attached to it. You become identified with it. And that's why the wealthy person can't get to heaven. Jesus said, the rich man Can't do it. It'd be easier for him to go through a needle point, right? Well, what does that mean? See, the needle point is that snapshot of right now. Right now. You put all of your attention, all of your focus right now. You just center in like a laser, like a sniper on this moment, and you hold your sights. You do not waver. No taking thought for your life. See, the minute you take thought for your life, you identify with that body, and your consciousness rides the wave of that form, identifying with it. See, once you identify with that slow moving form, then what happens is you have to experience being asleep in it. It's just like being in a dream. You see, you're in the dream until you're pop the bubble. You have to pop out of it. You have to disengage. Okay, what happens is death is defined as this. It's the loss of the experience within the senses attached to that experience. It's the loss of sensation within that life experience. Okay, get it? So, are your senses still attached, spiritually speaking, in any dream that you had last week, last month, or last year? Well, no, that means you died to it. You died already. You already died. You're so worried about dying, but you already died. There you go. Wait a minute. Okay, I got another one for you. Are your senses still attached to that thing that happened to you when you were 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old? Are your senses still attached? No. Okay, so your senses are not attached. So you died to that version of you. That cycle, see, that was a cycle, within a larger cycle. Hey, see, that cycle of that experience of your life, when that thing happened that you experienced, these dogs are coming. Hey guys. Oh, that one's, oh, I got my dog here. See, where did she go? Oh, they're going. Anyway, might have to check on Mona. Oh, she's doing good. So, hi. We got all these friends here. Hey, this is Daisy. Hey, Daisy, come on in here. Say hi to everybody. See? Look at Daisy. Look. Look right there. All right. Hi. That's Ollie, her brother. Ollie, the brother's mad at me for talking to his sister. He's like, don't talk to my sister. You're not going home with my sister. Yeah. Anyway, when you were younger, doesn't matter what age it was, that experience, that memory, you can retrieve a memory, correct? Well, your senses are not attached to that memory anymore. You can pull out. In other words, you can pull out of that memory, can't you? You can pull out, all right? Don't you sometimes wish that somebody would have pulled out at some point in life? You probably wish that people you don't like, if their parents would have just pulled out, all right? Well, what if that somebody you don't like is you, and you're the parent at the same time? So why don't you just go ahead and pull out right now? Why don't you pull out before it even happened? That's what counter space is. See? That's why you can't comprehend it with your mind. God's ways are not man's ways. You have the ability to pull out before it even happened. That's power. Literally. Power. So what I'm talking about here is to recognize you're riding all of these waves all at the same time. You're riding the waves of so many different universes that your perception is transfixed on this long wave cycle of dense fog. Temporal, it's like a long chain pattern, right? It's the only life you think is true. Well, let me tell you another story about that. Let me tell you something really interesting about that. So there was a time in this long wave cycle that I was medically injured to the 5 senses, right? You know the story. I had Lyme disease and I was bedridden. I had a lot of problems. I had PTSD. I had somatization. I mean, this was a real messed up person that this awareness had to deal with, okay? I mean, what a joke that was. Well, anyway, it got even worse. So I go into the ER, they put 6 drugs in my arms and an IV. And of course, they're not liable for anything, but I couldn't use my legs after the fact. And I was having some real bad complications. Now, this is not the kind of complications that I would wish for anybody, okay? Because I literally was the worst, literally the worst fears I ever had in my carnal reality in my life, because I couldn't escape it. In my awareness, I could not escape it. I couldn't break the continuity of the 5 senses telling me how bad it hurt all day. And you know, I would say, okay, enough's enough. I'm going to rise out of this. And I would just try to walk in my spirit, and I'd go grab the dumbbells, and I would do a couple things, and I would all of a sudden start shaking, and it would like, oh my goodness, I don't even want to go back there, because it was like having your whole nervous system melt down on you, and I literally would go into shock, okay, for hours. It would take me sometimes, they'd have to put me on some diazepams, and they'd have to get me down, and I'd just shake for hours and hours and hours, okay? What a joke. But anyway, I could never escape that torment until I was deep asleep. And I remember I'd be finally getting some sleep. I'd get like 3 hours of sleep, because finally I'd get so tired from the emotional drain of having to live in that body, okay? It drained me so much emotionally. I'd finally pass out after a while. And in that middle of that dream, I was sensationless. I didn't have all of those. Get this, now get this. It's very important you see this. So that long wave cycle was so terrifyingly unbearable, but I had moments in a dream where I'm sleeping where it wasn't there. And you'll say, well, that's because you were sleeping. But it wasn't there, is what I'm telling you. So I was in another wave cycle, and my consciousness withdrew from that. See, my consciousness pulled out, and it put itself into this one. And in this one, the sensations were not attached to that idea, because everything in the universe is an idea. It's all idea. Your body is an idea. And you attach to that body and all, like I said, of the accoutrement of all the things that you've acquired through that body. And all of those memories, those memorial services that you've attended to relive the past, right? That's your reasoning. Now, when you lean on that, you're leaning on a house of sand. And there's one thing I want to tell you, and this is something God put on my heart. If you love that more than you love God, enjoy the ride, because these times are going to be nearly impossible for those people. Nearly, I say, because there's only one way out, and it's not casting your ballot in a world that is fiction. It's in withdrawing your consciousness from the whole thing and putting it somewhere else, so that this no longer identifies the stronghold over you and clenches you into its crushing bite of trickery and deceitfulness at every turn, because that's what it is. It's the outer. So let's say hi to Sabrina. She's here, and our girl's making friends.
Hi. I was looking for her, and she's not with you.
Well, there's a female dog, and she says likes me, and the sister, but the brother doesn't like me. The later one, he hates me. He yelled at me.
Of dogs?
Yeah.
Oh.
He didn't like me talking to his sister, so they're over there. It's a It's
dogs?
but Mona's running with those two.
The black and gold one?
Yeah, Mona's running with the black and gold dogs right now.
He just passed me. She's not with him anymore.
Okay.
I gotta go find her.
All right. Well,
I picked up her poop.
Oh, good.
She was so good. I said, "Show me, where'd you go potty?" And she brought me right to it.
Oh, wow.
When you get a smart dog.
Dude, this dog is smarter than both of us combined. I don't know how we're gonna do it.
She's don't really need to do much. We got her to take care of us.
She's like, you know how you don't want to let AI take over because it's gonna be smarter than you.
Yeah,
Our dog is smarter.
Why don't we go this way? way. That other way is trampled.
She's already escaped. She's figured out how to bamboozle both of us.
No way. She's a good one.
She took Sabrina over there,
Mona.
and then she said, "Stay here, Sabrina. I'll come over and say hi to Dad. I'll come right back." And then she came over and just left, and now we're both confused because she played us.
No, I actually walked away from her because she ran to you because I went through her poop.
She got you to clean up after her too. There she is. Anyway.
Is that her?
Yeah. Okay, I'll keep doing my thing, and then
Right.
I'm gonna meet
Bye,
you.
Guys.
I'm gonna be ready in about 5 minutes because my hands are froze. Okay. So anyway, it's like it's 30 degrees in Wisconsin here, but it feels like 22. And what the problem is that I'm holding this. These gloves are not keeping my hands warm, and holding this stick is not that enjoyable anymore. So I'm not going to go too long here, but my best attempt on attempt number 1 is what I did in the meditation. And this is all just free flow, because I bring this to God and I say, you know what, God? I say, you got to take all this stuff that I've taken in for a decade in my head, all this scripture and all this Gnostic stuff. You got to break this down for me. And you gotta make this clear, because I gotta be able to minister this so that I can get it, I can live it. Most importantly, that we can live in this if you get this message. That's the thing. I want to share this message so I can learn it. And that's the key. I want to teach it so I can learn it. So that was my first layout of it, but I understand from what I was witnessing when I was doing the exact thing I'm telling you to do is, see, this is what I did. Let me get to the point. Let me just get to the point. When I was going in that low density wave cycle, when I was living in that medically injured idea of that body, that was really hard, okay? That was a very, very, very disturbing time, because I couldn't escape it, you know, until I passed out and I finally fell asleep. Well, think about it like this. Nothing ever sleeps, okay? Because God is permanently at rest. It's the activity. It's the activity that creates this cycling that you're falling asleep in. It's activity. And when you go to sleep at night, you're still in activity, because you're still creating these, see, these spiraling forces, and you're riding the wave of those beams of light into imagination, spirit. And so when I was in imagination, spirit, I was free from something I couldn't escape. You're probably saying to yourself, how can I escape the world right now? I want to get the hell out of here. This place sucks. Whether you want to just create a parallel universe, see, if you're aware, that's what you'd prefer to do. Because even if you die and you croak, whatever, you're still creating a parallel universe, because you just died, no different than you died in a dream last week or last month, or when you were 5 years old and looking through your senses, and those senses are not attached to that memory anymore. It's a memoir. It's a memorial service now. See, you died in all those experiences. And you think the long wave cycle is going to be any different. It's not. It's not going to be any different. So what I'm telling you is I figured out how to detach from it. And so what happened is, when you just allow it to be there and you use it to bring the force of your consciousness even further into this moment, you're turning it into the fuel of your own ascension. So imagine this for you. Look around and just look at the world, what's happening, whatever's bothering you. Maybe you're just totally upset because the tyrants have totally just gamified everything, and they just spit in your face. They said, you're not going to do nothing because you're the peasant class and we rule over you, and it's always been that way, so take it in the you-know-what. And you're like, everybody just went along with it. There's nothing we can do. It's like, oh my God, they just brought in CCP. The United States just died. The freaking thing's on a tomb already. Hello, McFly, it's already done. Now you just say, I want to pull out of that, man. I want to pull out of that. I want to pull out of that creation. Can you do it? Can you do it? See, first of all, you have to believe you can, because all things are possible with God. Now, if all things are possible with God, you could also overcome Lyme disease. That's what I did. I believed it. Not at first. It wasn't like I instantly believed it, but here's how you come to believe something. You come to believe something by collapsing all of this stuff, okay, all of this dream, into the centripetal point of the immediate here and now, the silence. And you have to get so much into that meditative space, and you use every agitation that comes against you. You consume it, and it makes you more powerful to come even more into this space. How? By putting your awareness on it and not attaching yourself to it with any judgments. Just becoming aware that it is with no fear, because you know that you never lose consciousness or life, because all you could ever possibly do is remove your senses from an experience, and you'll have another experience and another and another and another and another and another, because life, that's what it does. It goes from stillness to agitation, to stillness to agitation, to stillness to agitation. That's the forever spinning wheel of creation. Okay, so what's going to happen here is that you're going to occupy that stillness with your full, get this, capacity, which is electric terms. So you're going to put your full concentration, okay? You're going to aim straight at one target, and you're going to put your full capacity on that one target, that I will get into this still space, and I will put an intention into this space of a truth that God knows, that God is all, that God is good. There's no other. There could be no other. It's not even a possibility. And as I contemplate that, I become that, because what you contemplate, you become. So when you say the words that I am the resurrection and the life in this human consciousness now, in that space, then you're calling forth the name of God, the I am presence, the actual power, your true self. You're calling forth your true self. And the resurrection and the life is the principle of rising out of a dream. That's why Jesus worked with that at the end of his ministry, because that's when he was overcoming the world that you're also overcoming. Same journey, same path, same process. Now, when he was being tortured, oppressed, accused, and the world had come against him, I and my Father are one. It is not me, but my Father in me that doeth the works. See, he recognized that wave cycle of that physical dense body. He said, woe unto you who've seen the Son of Man. He said, you guys are identified with that body and all the things that are attached to it. Yours is not the kingdom. You don't get the kingdom. Jesus, on the other hand, I'm not the body. I'm the Father. I and the Father are one. He's identifying as the Father. But you can't just say these things. You have to experience it through going into that space and letting yourself return to the 0 point. Okay? And as you do, you gain experience directly from the Father. It only comes direct. You can't make this stuff up. You have to experience it direct. Hey, Mona. Say hi to him. Tell him what you're up to. You just come over here to see me, huh? What a good girl. So you have to have this experience direct. You have to occupy this space. And then you call forth the presence. I am the resurrection and the life. in this human consciousness now. Keep your centered focus. Don't leave. Don't leave this space. Stay there. I am the resurrection and the life in this human consciousness now. I am the resurrection and the life in this human consciousness now. See, this is why I created the PTT technique that I explored all last summer, and I used it all during the beginning of this first pandemic, and you know what? It anchored me to that presence and allowed me to demonstrate the best results of my life in every category of my life, even during the pandemic. It's crazy how that works. So what happened? How could that possibly be? Because it works to detach your senses from the lie. Because you have the power to pull out before it happened. Because it's a force of nature that happens throughout all time and space. It's called a lightning storm. And so no matter what surge protectors are going on in that wiring that you're riding through that human body, you see all of those surge protectors that the human mind has that says, we're going to keep the continuity of this idea going, baby, because we're going to keep this thing riding all the way to the end. You can't get to heaven from there. You have to lay down that to gain your life. You can't be identified with this body and get to heaven. It doesn't happen. You have to be above the body. You have to let the body go. Let it be governed by God as a spiritual idea, not a physical illusion. You have to occupy playfulness to open up your attitude to receive this kind of knowledge. You can't get there by being serious because you're going to lock yourself back into the body again. You have to be as the little ones. Hope you got something from this. I'm just giving you ideas. I'm not trying to tell you nothing that you don't already know. You wouldn't be listening if you didn't already know this. And yes, you do have the power to create any reality you want inside of whatever, because it's another wave cycle that you can put your complete attention into and ride the wave of it. Okay, that's all it is I'm going to move my awareness from here over to here, and I'm going to attach my senses to this one, and I'm going to ride the wave of this one. You have that power. And all you have to do is work with it and ask for it to become more profound in your experience. And you have to call for the resurrection and the life to start taking place in this human consciousness. And so then you gain that wisdom by direct experience because you're asking for it. You're asking for it, so you're going to receive it. I am the resurrection and the life in this human consciousness now. And I stay rooted in this now, grounded, at rest. So I can allow the divine to handle all of the affairs that are contained within that idea. Because I'm just along for the ride. I'm riding a beam of light. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream. Hope it's a good one.
Hello, I'm Julie with Allow Ministries on behalf of Matthew David Hurtado. Are you ready to end self-sabotage, procrastination, and distraction? Clarity, certainty, and a proven plan of action is what it takes to get anything you want in life. Training is the answer. Matthew David Hurtado's Spiritual Millionaire Workshop is the one-step solution that finally puts you in control of your destiny. What Matthew discovered about building a 7-figure business and perfect well-being when he was bedridden and bankrupt with Lyme disease is that mentorship is success without the wait. It works. At allowuniversity.com, you'll discover how to walk in victory. Learn how to prosper in every area with unstoppable daily habits and a step-by-step training to build your dream business immediately following the event, a success training for a lifetime of achievement. Walk in financial increase, living a life you love. Go to allowuniversity.com and say yes to your destiny.